you can start on a 1000cc sport bike. Doesn't mean you should, but you can, all right? That's the argument that we're having today. Because a lot of people are like, what bike should I start on? I started on a 600 and I was completely fine. I started on a 1000, I was completely fine. I started on a 1000 and I crashed it in the first week. You should start on a 125, then go to a 300, then a 400, then a 600 and be like the ladder. There's so many different opinions on it. You obviously make your own decision. I personally, this is what I did. I did 2 months on a 125, so I did my CBT, did 2 months on a 125. I went away and worked in a different country for like a good year, so I didn't ride at all. I came back and I was 24, I did my direct access and I got this 600 sport bike. So I'd only really had 2 months riding experience. Don't get me wrong, I rid it literally every single day in those 2 months, but I still wasn't experienced enough probably to jump on one of these. But doesn't mean you can't ride one of these. You just shouldn't really ride it to like the potential where you could get in a dodgy situation. Do you know what I mean? So I rode this thing like a baby because that's all you have to do to stay safe on a big bike like that. Obviously, if you whiskey throttle it or get into like a dodgy U-turn and then end up like throwing the bike upwards and you're not ready for it, then you could obviously get in trouble because there's a lot more power to work with. But it'll only go as fast as you let it. That's the one thing I had in my head. I was like, it will only go if I let it go. So as long as you can keep your ego in check, which I did for a decent amount of time until I crashed, you will be fine. You won't get into a dodgy situation. It's not as scary as you think. That's not me saying go and buy a 600 sport bike. I do think everyone should start on a 125 anyway, just to loosen off and understand how a bike works, so you know how to move it, you know how to stop it in dodgy situations. Hold on, we've got someone else walking by the camera and I can't talk in public. Sorry, I just still find that like I've been doing this for like a good 2 years now across my photography page and then this bike page this year. And I can talk in public, do you know what I mean? I go to like bike shows or whatever and I can talk in front of people, but when it's like a dead quiet location like this and then someone walks past the camera in complete silence, it's really awkward, so I just stop. But yeah, what was I saying? It'll only go as fast as you let it. That is the honest truth. But I do still think you should start on a 125 because then you can get those beginner mistakes out of the way. But you will be fine. But then it will get into the point where you get more comfortable and you're like, oh, I can handle this. I know what I'm doing. You haven't been practiced like your braking, me. You can't really go around corners that well, or you can't save yourself if you needed to because you haven't pushed the complete limits of the bike yet. You're just getting used to going fast in a straight line. That's what I was doing. Don't get me wrong, I'd had my knee down a couple of times. I'd been getting comfortable around the corners, but I had not been practicing my braking at all. And I was having some fun with the boys at night one time. This is the biggest crash I've had. And I got into a situation where the road suddenly became a roundabout and I was going the speed limit. And I slammed on the brakes, locked at the rear, and then hit the curb and went flying over the roundabout, woke up, laying in the middle of the roundabout looking at the sky. Like, I messed up my neck and my shoulders. I still have the pain from it now. I don't think it's ever going to go, to be fair. I've just got some ligaments that are a bit dodgy. My right side chest is weaker now than my left one. We're slowly getting there. I feel like I'm back to like not peak condition, but I can move and do general things now like I would before. But that taught me a big lesson, do you know what I mean? I was not practicing. I was getting way too cocky for my ability, and then it got me into a stupid situation. That wouldn't have happened if I was on a smaller bike, because obviously I wouldn't have been going as fast. So that's the only risk, because when you get a faster bike, you're going to be in a lot more danger because the risks are just higher because you are now having access to more power, all right? So you just need to make sure that you definitely practice the things that you're not good at, like braking, like cornering suddenly out of like a bend and then it gets tighter and you need to slam the bike down even more, or dragging the rear brake, trail braking. You need to practice all these things that you would normally practice on a 125 or a slower bike, so then when you get on the big one, you're ready for it. So that's the only thing I can say. You can start on a bigger bike, but just make sure you practice those other things and keep your ego in check, because you are going to get cocky, you are going to get yourself into a stupid situation, so you just need to be ready for it. That's all I can suggest. I'm not going to tell you what bike to buy. Buy the bike you want, do you know what I mean? Like, don't let anyone tell you what to do. I would suggest starting with a slower one, at least for the first like few months, so then you can at least get used to riding, then bump it up. But again, that's your choice. A lot of the crash compilations on YouTube are all in America, because they can just jump on whatever bike they want. In the UK, it's age restricted, which is a blessing and a curse, because it's obviously very good, because obviously 18-year-olds shouldn't really jump on a 1,000 sport bike, because they might not have much of a screwed on head as someone a little bit older, and they would just want to show off and go fast. So it's going to keep them in line a little bit, because they have to go on a slower bike. So there is that, but then it is a bit dramatic over here where it just takes ages to get a bigger bike. You've got to go through so many different tests and wait till you're like 25. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's my take on it. Buy whatever bike you want. I suggest starting a little bit smaller, at least while you're getting to know how to ride a bike at all, and then bump yourself up. But again, it'll only go as fast as you let it. The more important thing is keeping your ego in check and practicing braking and cornering and things that are not as fun. Practice those things, because they're going to help you get out of the situation when you are having fun and it turns bad. All right, so yeah, that's it for me. I love this little bike. It's been true to me. I've crashed it twice now. And both were, to be fair, due to bad braking as well. Well, to be fair, I can't really go crazy on this bike at the minute because my brakes, let me know in the comments, to be fair. There's no air in the system, right? We bled the brakes. I'm riding along and they were fine. You got that nice sponginess, they'd engage, but then you'd be able to pull it in and it would engage more and more and more and more and more. Now, if I just do this, that's fully engaged. That tiny little movement, that is full lock on the brakes. And then if I squeeze, it doesn't go anywhere. Like, that is me squeezing, it doesn't come towards the handlebar anymore. But there's no air in the system. So is that the master cylinder? I don't know. It's annoying me. I need to get it fixed because it's dodgy, mate. If I'm blasting it and then I need to slam on, when I press the brake, that is full brake straight away with that tiny little movement and there's no pressure to ease it in. It's really annoying. So yeah, let me know because I do need to get that sorted out. So yeah, we'll call it there for that video. Again, hoodies are available. Keeping me nice and warm. Got my gear underneath. Always wear your gear. That's what saved me in the crash when I was on this lovely sport bike. Well, sports tourer, but I still call it a sport bike because still does the job, doesn't it? Makes a loud noise, looks cool. Either way, let me know what videos you want me to talk about down below and I'll do it. And subscribe. See you later. See you later. See you later.